Our top story this morning, though, top Republican contenders making their case for the White House in last night's Fox Business Republican debate. I want to bring in the O'Reilly Factor host, Bill O'Reilly. Bill, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Tell us, what was your takeaway and favorite moment of the night?
Well, I think you guys did a nice job, and you got an amazing amount of energy, Marie. You didn't get any sleep, did you?
Not a lot. I guess about 2 hours or so. You know what they say, Bill, and that's what I always say, I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Yeah, well, it was a good debate. I felt sorry for Ben Carson. In the first hour, he had, very little time, and he was the guy who really needed to do something to reverse the slide, and I don't think it happened, although he had the funniest line of the night when he said, they referred to me too, and you guys said, what? And he goes, yeah, they said the word everybody, and then he interrupted and got in.
I know, that was funny. That was really funny.
I like Carson, but I he just didn't have enough presence to really, I think, reverse the slide. Now, on the other fronts, it was more of the same. Christie and Cruz are the best debaters, and they go back and forth to each other on immigration and taxes, and it was interesting to watch. I mean, and that's just the American people are just going to have to decide among all of them. But those two guys are eloquent, and they're prepared, and I think that they both made good points, although Trump took Cruz down, interestingly enough, because Trump is not that quick on his feet. He says the same thing over and over. He stands by his vision, and he did that again last night. But on the New York values thing, Trump got Cruz when he said, listen, I was here at 9/11, and I saw the heart that he was in that was a big
Well, he was very smart. Yeah, Trump came back with really, what was most important and sensitive to New Yorkers, and it hit Cruz hard.
Yes, it did. And I don't know whether that hurts Cruz, but it helps Trump, because Trump, was looked upon as then a guy with some feelings, and he stuck up for his hometown in an effective way. Now, the interesting part of was, what would you do with the Syrian refugees? And I marked it down, and Trump's still banning all Muslims, and the rest of them, except for Rubio, went on the record and said, Syrian refugees, we would hold that up. Although Rubio, he was strong on fighting ISIS, but he wasn't that specific about what he did with Syrian refugees. But it was interesting because you asked them all the same questions, so you contrast. And the rest of it, I didn't learn all that much, but I thought they had good energy. Christie, I think Christie is positioning himself to be vice president. I think he knows he doesn't have enough juice to go and get the top spot, although I think he's competing well in New Hampshire. But I think, he's tough. And he's in Jersey, and, if you can make Jersey a Republican state, that's big. I think he's positioning himself there. And I think Christie, you got to admire his book. So that's my assessment.
Yeah, I mean, he took a crack at the infrastructure question. I asked him about the $3 trillion that is needed to fix the ailing roads and bridges across the country, because we talk a lot about cutting spending, given the $19 trillion debt. But we hadn't heard what they would do in terms of spending on things like infrastructure, which is very important.
Well, Christie's a governor, and he's had to deal with that, although he got into trouble when he wouldn't okay the tunnel. That would have alleviated a lot of problems with Jersey commuters. So you just don't know. I mean, the country's obviously in trouble on the spending tax front. That's a huge issue. $19 trillion debt, about to be 20. And then you can't raise taxes anymore because you're strangling the economy, as they all pointed out. And then you're into the theory of, well, I'm going to do a flat tax, I'm going to do a value-added tax, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. It's tough for the American voter to process all that.
Yeah. Do you think it resonated the tax plans of each of them? Because, when it comes to business, that's most important.
The voters out there.
Draw out the differences, yeah.
You can, but it's macroeconomics. I mean, you're talking about complicated things to teach in grad school at Wharton. And so, the voter is listening to, the VAT tax, and you're going to do this, you're going to do that, and the flat tax. People don't really know, what the most effective thing is. And then Carson says, well, so-and-so says, Wall Street Journal says, my tax plan is the most effective. Who knows? What the general
we know
consensus
that it's going to be a lot lower. We know that it's going to be a lot lower than where it is right now. I mean, that people do know, I think. Don't you think?
Yes, the Republican Party has always stood for lower taxes, always. But we're living in an age now where a significant segment of the American people wants the government to provide. That's why Sanders does well, and that's why Obama got elected twice. So,
Bernie Sanders,
does that do a lot of good?
He's calling for, Bernie Sanders calling for he doesn't think 90% tax rates are too high. That's a head scratcher there. Bill, we'll see you tonight on The Factor.
Thanks for having me in, Maria.